Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin and I'm a managing partner at 4D Capital. Happy Friday, everyone. We're going to be looking at NVIDIA stock today. NVIDIA is one of our 52 stocks that we analyze twice a year, and we publish an update, and today is that date, and it's perfect timing. The stock is near all-time highs, as you know, and we're going to be able to tell you exactly where it's topping very soon, and what is going to happen thereafter. I kind of announced it as a good news, but perhaps not so good news for many long holders. But nevertheless, at least you're going to have a very clear map of what's going to happen to the stock going forward. Just a very quick introduction. As I mentioned, my name is Alex Dworkin, managing partner at 4D Capital. At 4D Capital, we specialize in a very unique mathematical approach to the stock market, where we analyze the market and individual stocks in multidimensional space, and when we do, perfect order emerges. On top of that, we've developed a number of very powerful timing indicators over the years, and when we combine them together, we can very often tell exactly what the overall stock market or individual stocks will do going forward. And we can typically do it on multiple time frames, whether it's long-term or short-term, doesn't really matter. So I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim and Renaissance. So our primary goal as a firm, very quickly, is to identify stocks like NVIDIA, Bitcoin, Apple, Tesla, that have the capability to 2x, 5x, 10x, and do so within a relatively short period of time. And unlike other funds or money management firms, we have a secret weapon that allows us to accomplish just that. And that is our very powerful software built on top of our mathematical work that can essentially, for example, scan the entire S&P 500, identify stocks that will bottom, put in very important bottoms going forward, and when those bottoms will occur in both time and price precisely. And then from those bottoms, we are able to make projections of exactly how far and how fast the stocks will appreciate going forward. And that's how we are able to essentially, we are able to scan, we're able to identify those parameters, and we're able to know which stocks will appreciate the most going forward, and do so within the shortest period of time is what I'm trying to tell you. So let's jump to NVIDIA and see what it's doing. I guess many people would argue that NVIDIA is in a forefront of a major AI tech bubble, if you will, and I would technically agree with those propositions. So what we're looking at here is, you see the triangles on top and the bottom. By the way, I'll review it for the new viewers. If you're familiar with our work already, please skip forward probably 3 or 4 minutes, and you're going to be in the midst of NVIDIA analysis. So basically, the triangles you see on top and the bottom is what we call cycle composites. And this is a very simplistic graphical representation of a very complex mathematical concept. So what we do is we scan the chart back in multidimensional space, and we analyze, we identify those cycles. These are the long ones. You see, we can narrow them down to very short term, as a matter of fact, to intraday. But nevertheless, we identify them and we project them into the future. And the top ones are responsible for the tops, and the bottom ones are responsible for the bottoms. What makes matter even more complicated is you see a singular cycle here on the chart. Typically, what we found out is that there are typically multiple cycles running at the same time. So I use Dow Jones as an example always, and there are 2 bottom composites running at the same time and 2 top composites. But if you put them together, if you know how to put them together, you can very closely replicate the actual stock market chart line that you see on the 2-dimensional time and price chart. Okay? So it is projecting tops, the bottoms projecting the bottoms, and the top obviously projecting the tops. So as you can see here, NVIDIA is moving into this major cycle top. It is actually late into this cycle. It is outside the margin of error associated with this top, which means that the cycle is extending because of the energy levels and the speculative interest that is involved with this particular stock at this time. And once this particular top is put in place, which we anticipate at any moment now, well, I should be more specific, and I will be here in a second. Once this top is put in place, we anticipate a significant decline into the 4th quarter of 2026, in line with the overall market, where we anticipate NVIDIA to decline quite substantially into approximately $100 range. So it's 210, 212. We anticipate the final target top to be 200. Our calculations suggest, and I'll show that in a second, approximately $215 plus or minus $5. We're already within that range. We believe we're going to go just a tiny smidge higher, and then the top is going to be put in place. We have a December time turning point, but we're already within the margin of error of that time turning points. Essentially, what I'm trying to tell you is that top on NVIDIA is going to arrive at any point now. If you remember, we did Oracle forecast a couple of weeks ago, just about the time when Oracle spiked into that speculative Ponzi scheme top, where they talked about, I forgot the exact numbers, but they were going to take 20 billion from Oracle, invested in OpenAI, and OpenAI is going to take that $20 billion and invest it in NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is going to take that and invest in Microsoft. Whatever circle jerk they were doing, which is a complete scam. As you very well know, they're just moving money around and generating this speculative interest in the stock. But nevertheless, let's go back to Oracle. If you remember in Oracle, we came out just right after the spike, and we said that it hit right into our target area for the top. The top should be in, and the stock is expected to decline. So very similar situation. That's actually what happened, but very similar situation here, where you can argue we came within the margin of error of this top for NVIDIA. Our calculations, if we want to be exact, I'll show you in a second, suggest that we're going to push a little bit higher. And once that top is put in place, then it's going to begin to decline. But we should anticipate that at any point now. We do have a time turning point arriving here in December. By the way, the lines you see here is another very important concept that we use, timing concept. So we call them cycle clusters, okay? And cycle clusters essentially give us the exact name. It's the same thing, very simplistic representation of a complex mathematical concept, but we scan the chart back in multidimensional space. This time around, we use our proprietary cycles and we project them into the future. So we identify all the tops, bottoms, short-term, long-term, and we project them into the future. What we found over the years is that the stocks or the overall stock market, typically top or bottom, not when any particular cycle arrives, but when there's a cluster of cycles arriving at the same time. So if we have 3, 4, 5, 10 cycles arriving in the same time, the more the better. The more longer term they are, the better, especially if we're looking at the long-term chart. Then the probability of that turning point occurring there is very, very high. So I use Dow Jones as an example always. On March 6, 2029, not 2029, March 6, 2009, we had 15 longer term cycles arriving around March 6 plus or minus one trading day or 2 trading days. That doesn't really matter. So if you're familiar with this kind of work, you know that the stock market is declining quite substantially into that target area. You know that there's going to be significant turning point. That's exactly what happened at that time. So these are cycle clusters. We can also look at individual cycles. And this is the cycle I was talking about here in December 19th it shows up. But we are already within the margin of error of that associated cycle. And we're very close to our time and price parameters. So we should anticipate the top at any point now. So let me show you a different representation of what I'm talking about. So this is once again a 3-dimensional representation of our mathematical work. I know it doesn't make any sense to you, which is perfectly fine. It makes perfect sense to me, so just bear with me here for a second. I'll explain it in greater detail. The green areas, what you see is the target areas. So this one in particular, the dark green one, typically what it means, darker, means higher probability in our mathematical work. But if we zoom in here, this is the spike higher that we see yesterday, and we pull back some, and we are probably here around $210 a share. But as you can see, our mathematical work suggests that we came very close to the top projection. This is the top projection I'm talking about, $250 plus or minus $5. So we came very close, but we didn't hit that within our associated margin of error. Let's put it that way. Having said that, this is tiny. This is less than $1, and it's been known. We've seen where stocks almost come close to our mathematical projections, but because of the margin of error, plus or minus less than 1%. So it happens. It's possible the top is in, but the more likely probability that we're gonna extend a little bit more into this green region, which is why I keep saying $215 plus or minus $5. If it's able to break, for example, above 220, then we know that it's going higher still. But basically, to summarize, the top should be right here. It is possible the top was put in here. We are within the margin of error of both time and price, but more likely we're going to hit into this green region. And when we do, the stock will complete its mathematical pattern, and it's going to be ready to decline. And that's our bread and butter. Let me show you something very cool. Okay, so we can. I talked about earlier that we are able to project the exact bottoms for stocks, but we're also able to project exact tops for stocks as well. It's just we choose not to participate on the short side for the most part. Sometimes we do, but for the most part we tend to not to participate on the short side because it's a lot more riskier. The gains are limited unless you're playing with options and all of that good stuff. So, but nevertheless, this is how it works. We are able to project this particular top, and from this particular top, we are already able to project exactly what the stock is going to do going forward to the downside in both price and time. And let me show you this, something very cool, our technology. And as you can see, it's going to calculate here. It's giving us all the possibilities for the bottoms where they're going to occur. So from our work, typically we know that these particular regions will be broken below, and the stock is going to typically ends up in this particular region, which is why I'm saying that the stock is going to decline from approximately, let's say, $220 a share to approximately $100 a share. So quite a significant decline, in line with our overall market expectations at this time. And then it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to buy the stock again. But for the time being, particularly those who are long the stock, right now would be a wonderful opportunity to probably get out. And this is not financial advice, but this is something I would do. If you're a long-term believer, I would definitely hedge your position for the downside or for this anticipated downside, and then go from there. So once the bottom, let me go back to the other chart. Let me go here. Okay. So once this bottom arrives in fourth quarter of 2026, then it's going to shoot up to the moon again, going above this particular high. But for the time being, that's the play, and we stick into it, so to speak. Okay. So a couple of very quick announcements. Don't forget to subscribe. We have a free trial associated with our work. No strings attached, no credit cards, none of that stuff. It is 30 days. All you have to do is request it, and you will find a link in the description of this video to do so. We have a webinar coming up in approximately 1 hour. If you are able to, please register for it. We still have a few spots available. And during this webinar, we talk about the overall composition of this stock market, which we seldom do because that's our bread and butter. We typically try to keep that information away from the public forums. We also talk about how we calculate the market in three-dimensional space, and we showcase our software and how we calculate, for example, the entire S&P 500 and pick out only the stocks that will appreciate significantly going forward. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for your time. Happy Halloween. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, and we'll be back with more analysis on Monday. Bye-bye.